Hello students, today we start with the next topic of first chapter, that is problem solving aspects. In this lecture, we are going to cover the topic that is programming languages as tools. But before that, we just discuss about what we learned in before or in our previous lectures. Before this topic, we already learned about the different tools we used for solving the problems like algorithm, then flowchart and pseudocode. And today we start with the next tool, that is programming languages as a tools. The tools like algorithms, flowchart and pseudocode are used to specify the solution informally. Now, to make the computer to solve the problem, the solution which we are given to the computer, it must be in the form of instructions, and that instructions must be understood by the computer. So for that purpose, means to communicate with the computer, the tool which we are using is a programming language. Okay, a program consists of set of instructions to a computer. So a computer language is a tool which allow us to write the program for the computer. Computer languages have evolved over the years. From very earliest is the machine language, and up to the recent, that is natural languages. The various stages in the evolution of computer languages is shown here. In that, first we have two types of computer languages, that is low level language and high level languages. In a low level, you again have two types. One is the machine language and second is assembly language. Now let's see what is low level language or low level languages. These languages were the earliest languages developed. Under this category, we have machine and assembly language. Okay. Now we go for some features of low-level language. In that, first we have these languages are hardware dependent. What it means? It means the code has to be written for a specific hardware. Means what? As your hardware changed, the code, there are changes in the code. So that's why it is called as a hardware dependent. Now, next feature is the program written for one machine will not run on another. Means it is non-portable. Means the program we write or written on one machine will not is execute in other machine. For that purpose, we have to make some changes. So it is not portable. And programmers are required to have a knowledge about the computer hardware. Then only they can understand these low-level languages. Now, there are two low-level languages. We can see it in the next slide. The first low-level language is machine language. Since it is the earliest language, earliest computer language, the machine language is developed in 1940s. Since the computer is made up of electronic circuit, it can only understand the binary logic, and that binary logic is in the form of zeros and ones. Okay, so the computer hardware only understand the machine language, means the language in which we can write it using zeros and ones, means it is in the form of zeros and ones. Hence, in order to communicate with the computer, the program have to be written in the form of binary language or in the form of zeros and ones. And the data which we are going to provide to that program or computer is also given in a binary form. So here in a machine language, the language is in the form of zeros and ones, that is in a binary format. Now, see the advantages of machine language. Since the computer hardware can understand the program written in a binary, so it becomes easy and the execution is also very fast. The computer hardware only understand the machine language, and because of that, as it directly understand it, the execution speed is increase or it become fast, and there is no need to translate the program in any other language because computer understand the binary language or machine language. Now there are some disadvantages also. First is writing programs in a binary is very difficult because in that we just use zeros and ones. So there is maximum possibility to make a error during writing the program or in a data entry step. And plus to that, one more important disadvantage is debugging is very difficult. Means it is very difficult to identify the error in that program. There is no distinction actually between the instructions and data because everything is nothing but in the combinations of zeros and ones. So it becomes difficult to understand the program logic also. And one more disadvantage is as it is machine dependent, so as the machine change, the one program is not going to execute on a same program on a different machines. So this is also the disadvantage of machine language. The second type of low level language is a symbolic or assembly language. This language is developed in 1950s. And the purpose or the first purpose of developing this language is to remove the disadvantages of machine language. So in this language, the small English-like words which we called here as a mnemonics are used for instructions. For example, the instructions are like add, sub. Add is used for addition, sub is used for subtraction, and hexadecimal code also used for the data. The example of assembly language is 8085 or 8086 languages. Now look at the advantages of assembly language or symbolic language. The writing program is easier than the machine language because here we are using the instructions in the form of words, not in the form of zeros and ones. Now, second advantage is identification of error is also easy because you can get the meaning of the instruction which we are writing there in the program. Now, there is a distinction between the instructions and data. Means instruction is in a different format and data is in a different format. So you can easily distinguish between both of them. And the last advantage is program can be easily understood. As we are using the simple mnemonics or instructions, so we can easily understand the program or program logic. Now, look at the disadvantages. Because the computer does not understand the symbolic language, it only understands the machine language. So, we have to translate this assembly language program into the machine language program. So, we need the translator for that purpose. Second disadvantage is a special software we can use here, which is called as assembler, is needed to translate the assembly program to or assembly code to the machine code. And because of that, the execution of the program is become slower, which is fast in the machine language. So here, because of this translation or translator we require, that is assembler is needed. So because of that, the execution become slower. Now look at the second type of computer languages, that is high level languages. So these high level languages were developed to remove the disadvantages of the low level languages. The earliest high level languages were developed in the 1960s. These languages are in more English like and contains the variety of instructions and data types so that the programming is become very easier here. Okay, so here as we are using different data types or variety of data, and plus we use the simple English like instruction format and different data types to store different type of data, so it is very easy to get the concept or the logic of the program. The examples are like C, Pascal, Fortran and COBOL. Okay, now look at the advantages of high level languages. As in high level languages we use the English like words for the instruction, it become easy to understand. It supports the multiple data types, like it supports the to store the character type data, integer type data, real numbers, etc. The third advantage is it is hardware independent instruction sets. Hence the programs are portable. So the high level languages are hardware independent, means one program can be run on different hardware or different machines. Okay, so that's why we can call it as a hardware independent. So we can easily run the same program on a different machine. And it's also easier to write and debug the program in a high level languages. Okay, now the disadvantages. The programs have to be converted here again from high level to machine level language using the special software like compiler or interpreter, because computer understand only machine language, and so for that purpose the high level language we have to convert into the low level means machine language which your computer understands. Okay, so every time we need to convert it from high level to machine language. Now look at the programming paradigms. A programming paradigm refer to the style of programming. Means how the programmer built the structure and element of the program. This programming paradigm is an approach actually to solve the problem using some programming language. And the programming languages can be categorized into programming paradigms. There are actually several programming paradigms are present. What are that? We can see it in the next slide. There are two types of programming paradigms. First is imperative and second is declarative. In imperative, again there are two types. First is procedural and second is object oriented. Same as for a declarative paradigms, we have the subtypes, that is functional, logical and mathematical. Declarative programming style, the programmer is going to instruct the machine to change its states. Imperative programming actually instructs the program to do something following a sequence of steps. Now, there are two types in that. First, we have a procedural imperative programming paradigms. Means this programming style actually groups the instructions into procedures, and this emphasizes on the procedures or modules that are reusable. Means the code or that particular say block of instruction, how that we can reuse at number of places in one or in a different programs. The example is C and Pascal. Now, the second type of imperative instructions is object oriented. In this style, the code is going to organized into the entities and we called it as a objects. The real life entities are used for that, means student, school, then college, employee, okay, like this. A state of the object is modified only by the code that is a part of that particular object. Okay, and for that we can use the different part of the objects like for example name, then salary, join date, birth date, etc. This it is more emphasis is on data rather than the procedure. So here the sequence of instruction etc. It is not that much of matter or bother. Instead of that it focuses on the data rather than the procedure. Okay. So the state of object is going to modified here only by the code that is actually the part of that particular object. The examples are like Java programming language, Simula, then Smalltalk, etc. Okay. Now the second type of programming paradigm is declarative type. So this type of programming actually builds the program that is going to express the logic of the computation without taking or without talking about its control flow. So here logic is very important. It is often considers the programs as a theories of some logic. So the logic is more important here. In that we have the first type that is logic. The logic programming paradigm views the computation as a reasoning over the body of knowledge. Means in this logic programming we have a knowledge base which is we already know, and the knowledge based questions are given to the machine and which is going to produce the result. And the example is Prolog programming. Okay. Now the second type is functional. It is actually the subset of a declarative programming. So programs written using the paradigm uses the block of code intended to behave like a mathematical function. So here block of code is used and that will be get executed. The example is like Haskell, Erlang, then Scala, etc. Now the third type is mathematical. Now it is or particularly in this paradigm, the desired result is declared as a solution of an optimization problem. And for that the examples which are given here is a Mathematica, COQ, etc. Okay, which are comes under the declarative programming paradigm. Okay. Now the next subtopic is converting the pseudocode to the program. Now the solution to the program is expressed by using different tools like algorithm, flowchart and pseudocode. The flowchart and pseudocode are preferred to writing the lengthy algorithms. The structure of pseudocode is similar to that of program because we use some decision statements there, we use the looping statement there. Even if it is an informal one, but it is near to the program. This makes it very easy to convert the pseudocode to the program in any programming language. So look at the following example which shows how the pseudocode for calculating the area of circle is converted to the C program. Now, this is your pseudocode, that is algorithm calculate area, begin, input radius, area is equal to 3.14 into radius, then output area and end. We are going to convert it into a simple C program very easily. Look at the program. Program is void main. Here we declare these data elements which are used, that is float, radius, comma, area. Then here we use input radius. Instead of that, here we use printf, enter the radius, and using scanf we input the value for the radius. As it is of float type, we use percentage of f ampersand radius. Then same way we can calculate the area using same expression, that is area is equal to 3.14 into radius. And here we use output area. Instead of that, we use a formal structural statement, that is printf, area is equal to percentage of f double quote complete comma area, and end of the program. So here, instead of using the keywords begin and end in a program, we use opening curly braces, and which is inform you the beginning of the program, and closing curly braces is the end of the program. So in this way, we can convert easily the pseudocode into the program. Okay. So it becomes easy to convert the pseudocode into program. Okay. So I'm going to stop the lecture here now. In our next lecture, we are going to discuss about the compilation process of the program, and as well as we are going to cover the good programming paradigms or practices which we are used to write a program in our next lecture. Okay, we will stop here today. Thank you.